Welcome to the Lion's Share podcast, where we break down today's most impactful research and bring fresh insights from the academic frontier straight to you.
You know that feeling, right? You're in a Q4 strategy meeting. Everyone's around this big shiny table looking at a spreadsheet.
Oh, another one.
And the lines, they all go up and to the right. It's so linear, so comforting. But you look around and you just know. Deep down, we are all pretending.
It's the theater of certainty.
Exactly. We're pretending we know what regulations will look like in 3 years, pretending a competitor won't just appear and, eat our lunch next week. It's just, It's theater.
We crave it.
Yeah.
Because the alternative, admitting we have absolutely no idea what's coming, that's terrifying for a management team. It feels like negligence.
Right. If I tell my board, I don't know, I get fired. But if I show them a beautiful spreadsheet that turns out to be totally wrong, I can just blame market conditions later. But today, we are ripping off that safety blanket. We're diving into that tension between the need for a solid business strategy and the chaos of a world that just won't sit still.
Yeah. Which is the core paradox of innovation, isn't it? To execute, you need that tunnel vision. You need focus. But to survive, you need peripheral vision. You have to see the bus coming.
And to help us get our heads around this, we're going into a classic, a really seminal piece of management literature. We're looking at Paul Strawmaker's 1995 paper, Scenario Planning, a tool for strategic thinking.
A fantastic choice.
And we're going to mash that up with some more modern frameworks on innovation strategy from Goffin and Mitchell, just to see how this all applies to, building a business model today.
And I'm glad we're starting with Stormmaker. I mean, it's from 95, but it's basically the Bible on how to stop lying to yourself about the future.
I want to kick off with a quote he uses from Will Rogers. "It is not what we don't know that gets us into trouble. It is what we know that ain't so."
That just nails it, doesn't it? The enemy here isn't ignorance. It's overconfidence. It's that baked-in assumption that the future will just be like the past, but, with slightly better margins.
So let's get our definition straight right away. When we say scenario planning, I think a lot of people's eyes glaze over. They think, okay, a plan for if the warehouse burns down.
And that is the first trap. That's contingency planning. What if X happens? That's a single event.
A one-off.
Exactly. Shoemaker is so clear on this. Scenario planning is not about emergencies, and it's also not sensitivity analysis.
Which is what I do in Excel. Right. I
Exactly.
just change the interest rate from 3% to 4% and see if we're still in the black.
That's it. You change one variable. But in the real world, variables don't take turns. Interest rates go up, and a trade war starts, and a new technology emerges all at once. Scenario planning is about the joint impact of all those things. It's about building a narrative, a whole world where these things collide.
Narrative.
Yeah.
That feels like the key word. This isn't just math, it's psychology. I was really struck by how much this paper leans on Tversky and Kahneman's work on cognitive bias.
It has to. You can't talk about strategy without understanding how our brains process probability. He brings up the conjunction fallacy, which is, it's just critical for anyone pitching a new venture to understand.
I love this concept. It explains so much about why a good pitch deck works better than raw data. Can you walk us through that Japan example from the text?
Sure. So the study asks people to judge the likelihood of two different events. Event A is the U.S. has a trade surplus with Japan. Event B is the U.S. has a high GNP.
Okay.
Then they ask for the likelihood of event C. The U.S. has a trade surplus with Japan and D, a high GNP.
Now, logically, mathematically, the chance of two things happen together has to be lower than the chance of just one of them happening. It's just basic probability.
You would think.
Yeah.
But people consistently rate the conjunction, as more likely.
Why? Why on earth would we do that?
Because the combination tells a story. We have a trade surplus because our GNP is high. It feels coherent. It paints a picture. Our brains are just wired for narrative, not for statistics.
Wow. We trust a detailed lie more than a vague truth.
That's a great way to put it. So scenario planning is basically hacking that glitch in our own brains.
Oh, so.
If I just tell the CEO there's a 5% chance of total market collapse, they ignore it. It's a number. But if I write a detailed scenario, a story about how that collapse happens, how the supply chain breaks, how competitors react, suddenly that 5% feels very, very real. It makes the brain take the unlikely seriously.
So we're using our bias for stories to fight our bias for overconfidence.
Exactly. And this connects directly to what Goffin and Mitchell talk about with their 4 levels of uncertainty.
Right, the innovation strategy piece. They have that scale from level 1, clear enough future, all the way up to level 4, true ambiguity.
And most managers act like they're always in level 1. They use stage gate, NPV calculations, all these precise tools. But if you're building a new venture, you're almost always in level 3 or 4.
Yeah.
You're in a fog.
You can't use a calculator to solve a level 4 problem.
You need scenarios.
Okay, so let's shift from the why to the how. Showmaker has this whole methodology. We don't need to go through all 10 steps, but the core engine of it seems to be this split between trends and key uncertainties.
This is the hardest part for any team. A trend is something that already has momentum. It's virtually guaranteed. Demographics are the classic example. We know how many 18-year-olds there will be in 2030.
These are already born.
They're already born. That's a trend.
And an uncertainty.
That's the stuff we argue about. Will that carbon tax pass? Will the price of lithium double? Will our competitor launch in Q1 or Q4?
And the big mistake is mixing them up.
The mistake is betting the farm on an uncertainty as if it were a trend. You build your scenarios by grounding them in the trends. Those are the same in every future. And then you toggle the uncertainties to create these different worlds.
Let's ground this in a real example. The paper talks about the Anglo-American Corporation in South Africa in the 80s. I mean, stakes don't get much higher.
It's maybe the most famous case of scenario planning ever. The context is just intense. It's mid-80s South Africa. Apartheid is law, but the country is on fire. Riots, sanctions, the economy is tanking. And Anglo-American was the biggest company there. They basically were the economy.
And they bring in Pierre Wack from Shell, the guy who basically invented this discipline.
Right, and the question was simple. Is there a future for us here? So they looked at the trends. Global isolation, that was a fact. But the uncertainties were all about the political transition. Was it going to be violent revolution or something else?
So they came up with two main scenarios.
The low road and the high road. And the low road wasn't just profits will be down. It was this vivid narrative of a cycle of violence. Government clamps down, economy collapses, the country becomes a wasteland. It was a horror story, but a plausible one.
And the high road.
That was a transition to power sharing. Strategic alliances. Think of like a Switzerland model for South Africa. Decentralized power, integrating the black population into the economy.
And this is the part that's just incredible to me. These weren't just reports that sat on a shelf.
No, not at all. They took these scenarios to the board, to other business leaders, even to the government. And that low road story was so vividly terrifying, and the executives realized, wait a minute, we're on the low road right now, that it completely shifted their thinking.
It wasn't about predicting the future.
No. It was about realizing their current path was leading to corporate suicide.
The paper even hints that these scenarios influenced F.W. de Klerk's decision to release Nelson Mandela.
It's a huge claim, but it's credible. The scenarios gave them a language, a shared story, to talk about the unthinkable. That's the power. It changes the mental model of the decision makers so they can see what's actually happening.
Pierre Wack called it the gentle art of reperceiving.
It's a beautiful phrase, isn't it? Reperceiving. You walk into the room seeing one world, and you walk out seeing several.
Let's bring it to an example that might feel a little closer to home for listeners. The Interpublic Group, the big ad agency.
Right. A classic industry disruption story. They're looking out, say, 7 years. They see the trends, globalization, technology, but they don't know how clients will actually behave.
So they create three worlds. One is total globalization, where the mega shops win. One is polarization, where the giants and the tiny boutiques thrive, and the middle just dies.
And then there's the third one.
Yeah, I love the name of this one. Mega shop dinosaurs.
The dinosaurs.
So what happens in that world?
In that one, the giant agencies like Interpublic itself they crumble under their own bureaucratic weight. Too slow. Clients flee to these lean, specialized, tech-savvy firms.
So if you're the CEO, that's your nightmare scenario.
It is. But because they mapped it out, they could start looking for what we now call weak signals.
Okay, this is a key term from Goffin and Mitchell. Define a weak signal in this context.
A weak signal is like an early warning. If you're only looking at quarterly revenue, you're looking backwards. By the time that number drops, it's too late. A weak signal is something small on the horizon. Maybe one major client fires a huge agency and hires a 3-person shop.
You'd normally just dismiss that as an anomaly.
Exactly. Oh, that client's crazy.
Yeah.
But if you have the mega shop dinosaur scenario in your back pocket, you see that and you think, hang on, that's a data point. The dinosaur scenario might be waking up.
So Interpublic bet on globalization, but they kept an eye on those dinosaur signals. That's strategic flexibility.
Correct. And this ties perfectly to the S-curve concept in innovation.
Right. Explain the S-curve quickly.
So every technology goes through phases: emerging, pacing, key, and base. Startups love the emerging chaos. Big corporations defend the base where the profits are.
But the danger is the jump.
The danger is the jump. When a new technology makes the leap from emerging to pacing, it can make the old base tech obsolete, like overnight. Scenarios help you map when and how that jump might happen. The dinosaur scenario is the S-curve, jumping to a whole new model.
I want to push back a bit, though. This all sounds great, but I'm picturing a startup founder listening right now. They've got 6 months of runway. They don't have a strategy department. They can't do a 2-day workshop.
That's a completely fair critique.
Yeah.
The full SCO-maker process is rigorous. It takes time.
So is this just a luxury for big companies?
No, not at all. You just have to adapt the fidelity. A founder isn't going to produce a 50-page report, but you have to use the logic. And you can connect this directly to the business model canvas.
Okay. Value prop, customer segments, channels.
Most founders fill out one canvas. The everything goes right canvas. They just assume the channel works, the customer wants it, the price is right. It's incredibly fragile.
So you're saying do what? 3 canvases?
Yes. Do a stagnation canvas. Do a competitor reacts canvas. Ask yourself, if my customer acquisition cost doubles because of a new regulation, which is a scenario, does my entire business model break?
It's a stress test.
It's a wind tunnel for your business model. You wouldn't fly a plane without testing it. Why launch a venture that way? If your startup dies in 2 out of 3 plausible futures, you don't have a business. You have a lottery ticket.
Oof. That's a tough pill to swallow. But probably true. Let's talk about another critique. Bias. I mean, if I sit down to write scenarios, won't I just write stories that confirm what I already believe? Scenario A, I get rich. Scenario B, I get really rich.
That is absolutely the default setting. Schumacher actually tested this with MBA students. He had them estimate confidence ranges for things like future inflation. Before scenarios, they were all wildly overconfident. Their ranges were tiny.
Like, I'm 99% sure sales will be between 10 and 11 million.
Exactly. Then he put them through the scenario process. Afterwards, their confidence ranges widened by 50%.
Wait, they became less confident.
They became more realistic. They realized, oh, wow, if this happens, sales could be 5 million. If that happens, it could be 20. It made their collective ignorance explicit. It cured the tunnel vision.
So the goal isn't to be right, it's to be appropriately unsure.
Precisely. It widens the aperture. But to your point about bias, that's where open innovation comes in.
And another connection.
Yeah. I mean, Comaker was writing this in '95, a very closed corporate world. Today, we know you can't scenario plan in a vacuum. If you only talk to your internal team, you all share the same blind spots.
You're all drinking the same Kool-Aid.
So you have to bring in the outliers. Bring in a customer who hates your product.
Yeah.
Bring in a regulator. Bring in, I don't know, a sci-fi writer. You need people who will look at your trend and say, that's not a trend, that's a bubble.
This also feels connected to the Kano model from Goffin and Mitchell.
Yes, absolutely. For anyone who doesn't know, the Kano model sorts product features into basic, performance, and excitement features.
A bed in a hotel room is basic. A chocolate on the pillow is excitement.
Simple enough. But here's the kicker. Scenarios change the categories.
How so?
Well, in a boom economy scenario, maybe next-day delivery is an excitement feature. People will pay more for it. But in a recession scenario, cost becomes everything. Speed drops to a don't care feature.
Or a regulation change could turn data privacy from an excitement feature into a basic one overnight.
Exactly. If you don't have it, you can't even play the game.
Yeah.
So if you're an entrepreneur planning a product roadmap for 3 years out, you have to ask, is my killer feature still a killer feature in scenario B? Or is it totally irrelevant?
It's about designing for resilience.
You're trying to be an architect of the ecosystem, not just a player in it.
Okay, so let's try to wrap this up for the listener. If they're walking into a strategy session tomorrow, what are the big, actionable takeaways?
I'd say there are 3. First, separate your trends from your uncertainties. Go through your plan. What are you assuming is true? Is it a real trend? Or are you just betting on a coin flip? If it's an uncertainty, you have to hedge it.
Good discipline. Number 2.
Hunt for disconfirming evidence. This is the hardest one. We're all wired to look for data that proves us right. You have to actively, deliberately hunt for data that kills your favorite scenario.
If you can't find any evidence that you might be wrong, you are definitely not looking hard enough.
That's a good way to put it. And third is that idea of re-perceiving. Don't get obsessed with a document. The output isn't a binder on a shelf. It's a new, shared understanding in the minds of your team. If everyone walks out understanding how the business could fail, you've won.
It's a software update for the management team's collective brain.
That's the goal.
I want to leave everyone with one final provocative thought. I want you right now to picture your current project, your startup, your product, whatever, and identify the one variable you are most confident about, the pillar holding it all up. Maybe it's customer demand will stay strong.
The thing you take completely for granted.
Exactly. Now ask yourself, if that one variable flipped overnight, if it became the exact opposite of what you believe, does your venture survive? Can it pivot?
And if the answer is no, then you don't have a strategy. You have a gamble.
And on that slightly terrifying note, we'll let you get back to it.
Keep looking for those weak signals.
And keep diving deep.
Thanks for tuning into the Lion's Share podcast. If you enjoyed today's discussion, share it with a friend and join us next time for more ideas worth talking about. We'll see you next time.